Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's December 13th, and today's topic is victim and victor. We're going to be doing a guided meditation practice that is going to open us to an experience of ourselves as a child. And there's no formula, there's no preconceived idea of what this needs to be. It doesn't need to be going to a place you had trauma or going to a place you had joy. There's no prescription here. We're going to allow an aspect or a vision or a memory of yourself to come alive. And one of the things that is being proven by science more and more, but is held by all major traditions, is that the present moment contains everything. Wow, right? The present moment contains everything. So, one of the implications of that is that past, present, and future are all in this moment, not just in seed form, but in even all of their fullness. And that past, present, and future involves all of your life story and the entire life story of creation, which is pretty interesting, isn't it? So, what does that mean by our ability to access and allow the past, present, and future to serve our highest good? Well, the implications and the answer to that question is manifold. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to allow the fullness of presence that is at the center of your being, but is also beyond you, to bring forward and hold any aspect of you as a child that's meant to be part of this moment for your highest good. We're not doing shadow work specifically. We're not doing trauma informed healing work specifically. We are not looking to unearth limiting beliefs that need to be healed specifically. The reason I give this context is because oftentimes when we are doing inner child work in this world, it's focusing on the parts of the child that were wounded. Children are very impressionable. We are very impressionable. We come into this world, and in some ways, we are a blank slate to the events that we're part of. That, however, leaves us with an interesting paradox, because if we were to stay right there, we could easily see that every single person, in a way, is a victim. Every single person, in a way, when they were innocent, when they were unscathed, when they were untarnished as children, and they experienced something that was squashing to them, that they weren't the agent of that in an active way, right? They were the ones that were part of or on the receiving end of something that was hurtful. And they didn't have the development to move through it from a place of wholeness. That's, in a way, the definition of what we're talking about when we think of a victim. So, in a way, every human being is a victim. If there's any woundedness, there's a certain amount of victim, of being hurt when innocent. Uh, However, when we brought in our understanding to truly entertain the possibility that we have a divine nature that encompasses all, and that at every moment, past, present, and future, are participating, we're participating in that awakening process, it can shift us out of the stance of the cause and effect of I was innocent and I was hurt. It doesn't repress it. It doesn't diminish it. It doesn't say it's not worthy of healing or attention or embrace, but it allows a larger container to hold all that you are. So let me give just a moment so you can digest that. In that awakening are the seeds of you realizing that you are the victor in your life, that you are the one that's meant to be empowered. You are the empowered one, even if you don't know it. Now, maybe on a cognitive level with early childhood trauma, maybe there wasn't the development or the emotional development. And so to awaken to that in that moment, or to have that inner stability in that moment, was not there for you, was not present. But therein lies the paradox, because if in that moment, past, present, and future are all what you're participating in, then everything was available to you then as it is now. But it's now that we're entertaining these thoughts. It's now that we are reflecting upon it. It's now. Wow, right? Weigh in on how this lands with you. Do you feel sometimes when we hear things that ask us to shift our perspectives, we can shift into that I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm not held. It can hit triggers within us that say, but this wounded part of me needs to be seen. And I'm inviting you into a perspective that when we recognize that the present contains the past, present, and future, and that all is of divine nature, and the awakening process is happening in form, in mysterious ways, inviting you into that actually has space for all of that. And it's only our minds that want to overlay, well, if that's true, then I shouldn't be suffering. In my first book, it's funny that some of the stories from that first book are coming out right now. I remember when my mom and dad went through a really terrible divorce. And as my life journey was, I relished my family as being on a journey that had strengths, that had weaknesses, that had light, that had darknesses. And for me, it was about being on the journey together. And when the division happened, that my mom and dad were no more, it was a source of deep pain for me. Not the kind of pain that kept me rolling around in my mind, just the pain that's the deep grief of loss, loss of what I hoped for. And what I hoped for was that we would all make it to the end of our lives, traveling through life together as a unit. That grief resulted in a certain level of sadness and depression that I just simply needed to move through. And I remember there came a time when I got the letter, I think, from my mom that acknowledged that the marriage had been annulled. And what that means is that the marriage was dissolved and was recognized as not being a sacrament. And prior to that, I had actually written a letter to the judge that stood up for my family and stood up for what I experienced as truly sacramental, not to deter what was going to happen between my mom and dad, but to take my own stand. And I gave story after story of how much our lives were sacramental together as a unit. And so receiving the annulment was a blow, because they were making a verdict that the marriage was never a sacrament, which is massively, in my perspective, erroneous. Just because something isn't meant to be for a lifetime doesn't mean it doesn't have sacramental qualities at certain moments. And I was then in grief around this. And I remember what the spiritual director and one of she wasn't the prioress, she wasn't the leader of the community anymore. She was actually kind of retired. She was older, and she served as spiritual director. And when we read the letter together, she said, "Now see, you shouldn't have any suffering anymore because now you see that it was God's will for the marriage not to be." And because I was so free, I said, you know, even though Jesus and Mary knew that Jesus was going to the cross and it happened, and even though they knew it was part of a divine plan, they still suffered because of the anguish. So don't tell me that there's not pain and suffering when we go through major losses in our life. That's part of the beauty of love. I stood up, me as the little young nun standing up to the older wise woman. I did that many times with her because I was so free. But that's what I'm pointing to here is there is a sacramental quality to every aspect of our lives. And we're not meant to overlay judgments that just because we have the big view, it means that we aren't meant to experience the waves of emotions and inner thoughts and processes that are part of this big perspective. So that sets the stage for this guided meditation. And all we're going to do is we're going to go on a little bit of a journey where we set the space for you to encounter yourself as a child. You don't need to know ahead of time what, excuse me, what time this was in your life or what happened. You can, maybe something has already come to you intuitively. All you're going to do is be present to what you as a child has for you in this moment, holding it with the wide understanding that all is sacred. And in this, we experience ourselves as victors. So I invite you to close your eyes. Bring your focus to your physical body right as you sit, right here, right now. Your physical body, this beloved anchor that can pull you into this present moment, as fluid as that might be. And in this anchor, notice or imagine that your body, just by it existing, is actually a vibrating frequency. And we'll call it light, but it doesn't have to have that word attached to it. Imagine or sense yourself as a vibrating frequency. And now, in this vibrating frequency, allow, awaken, or invite in all the spiritual guides and friends that are meant to be on this journey with us. can name them out loud or just silently recognize them. We ask for your support. Awaken within us, help us experience and realize that we are vibrating light of the divine. And that in this acknowledgement, we actually become the light of the world, not in a judgmental way that there is darkness that we are the light for, but just in the celebration, like a child would be excited to be alive. Help us be excited that we are alive, period. And guide us now to spontaneously become aware of ourselves in a childhood surrounding, maybe a house or a neighborhood or a school or a vacation. And let us travel, time travel to this place. And now allow us to come into contact with ourselves at whatever age this is as a child. And let yourself see this child, whether that child is playing, crying, talking with friends, alone, with family members, with one family member. Watch the scene intimately. And as you observe this, notice now that you, this child, turns to face you, this adult, and acknowledges your presence. Let this become a moment between you and you, the child. And allow whatever is meant to happen spontaneously happen. Let there be an exchange. Whatever spontaneously arises within you to say or do, and whatever spontaneously arises between you and the little one, yourself. Be there. If you are tempted to move into distraction, just simply return and keep this moment between you and yourself. Whatever is there, whatever is natural by way of exchange, silent or words, touch or not. And now, if you're comfortable, hold the hands of yourself and simply begin to tone with me. The adult is now speaking to the child. You are the light of the world. 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 Looking into the eyes of yourself, this child. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. And breathe. And continuing to tone. I am the light of the world. 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 And breathe. I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. And one last toning for you, the adult, and you, the child, in this precious moment. We are the light of the world. 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 And breathe. We are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. And as we move into closing of this Advent reflection and meditation, acknowledge to yourself or make a choice on how you wish to walk through this day. And then when you're ready, bring your palms together in front of your heart and open your eyes with Namaste. Namaste, my friends. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend.